Hello,
Hey, hey.
this is John,
Janine.
and we are 2 and 1 is
Us.
us. So, we have started a kind of some topics that we talked about, and the first one
Was leaving.
was leaving,
There's the second part, which is about
cleaving.
cleaving.
So it comes out of Genesis chapter 2, where God tells the husband to leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife and become one flesh. And so we want to talk about cleaving. What does that mean? What does that look like? The word cleaving sounds kind of funny.
Cleaving.
Oh, that's what it means. So why are we talking about this?
Why is it even important to cleave to your husband or to your wife?
So I think it's important that we understand this, and cleaving kind of means that covenant, that faithfulness that you're going into marriage.
I think that in order for me to trust my husband, I have to know that he's going to stick with me through the good and the bad. Whether I gain weight, whether I look bummy, wake up looking crazy, that he's going to stick with me through thick and thin, that he's not going to leave. If I get really sick one
Right.
day and...
So when we talk about that, it's like, what one of the important things in the wedding day is the vows.
The vows.
Right? And so I had the honor and privilege to kind of marry different folks, and they tend to, some write their own vows, and then there's some that we kind of like repeat the principal vow that we all kind of like say to one another, which is through sickness and in health, through good and through bad, through rich and through poor, kind of to death do us apart. And so that's like a big statement.
That's really big.
It's a kind of commitment that you guys go into each other saying, hey, this is it. Like we're not looking back. We're not looking the other way. We're not saying we're going into this to maybe get divorced.
Right. And I think nowadays a lot of couples get married and their thought is, well, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And
we could always get divorced. They have these signs for $99, and so they look for the special if it doesn't work out. But at the end of the day, marriage is not a matter of convenience.
And marriage is not going to be easy.
Yeah, it's obedience. Like when we look at marriage, it's obedience to God, understanding what marriage is, valuing what marriage is, and understanding. So when I'm saying my vows, is a commitment to death do us apart. And so when you I don't want to get too preachy on us, but when you look it into a eternal perspective, right? Like God has given us this gift to enjoy now, right? So we're making this covenant, this vow, and we're saying, hey, to death do us apart, because in heaven it's going to be a little different into the perspective of marriage. And so enjoy your marriage now, and enjoy your wife now, because later is going to be different. Enjoy Christ forever. So God has given us this privilege and this give to honor each other now. And when we have a wife, is a treasure. We found a good thing, and so therefore we're faithful to that. Let's commit to that. And so cleaving is kind of like what you said. Like no matter how bad we look or how things turn out,
I want to say, I just want to grow old with you. Old and gray hair and.
I don't know to blush.
But life happens. You get old. You get gray hair. You go bald. You start to.
Wait a minute.
But life happens, and I want to look forward to that time, especially with you.
Yeah.
And I think that also marriage is designed for us to kind of sharpen each other up. It's a way for God to use to kind of sanctify us in our path towards righteousness. I think that marriage is the vehicle He uses to sharpen me up, to sharpen him up, so that we can kind of mold each other into Christ likeness.
Dope. Yeah. I cleaving, you have leaving, right? And so God knew what He was doing. Obviously, He is God, the Creator. And so therefore he understood what marriage was, how it's going to function in a way that we both get to enjoy what marriage is. And so he says leave, right? So we talked about that, leaving our parents, detaching to everything else, not cleave to each other, like, see each other as valuable. And so when you're saying these vows, when you're saying these promises that I'm saying, hey, I'm loving you till death, I am with you through sickness, like who else get to experience that besides your spouse? Like your spouse is that one person that knows the good and the bad, right? Like
all the good habits, the bad habits,
the nasty habits. And so it's kind of like a privilege. And so we should value our marriage, and we should cleave to one another, find comfort in that, find that this is a promise and a commitment, that we're not looking at a plan B, we're sticking with plan A, regardless of what may come our way. And so
you're my plan A,
and you would continue to be my plan A forever. Right? Until the Lord calls us home.
The Lord calls us.
So but with that, I want to say, like, I think, like, when you look in that perspective, cleaving is kind of like becoming a Christian, right? Mm-hmm. So like when you become Christian, you're living your old self, your old life, and you're committing to Christ, and you're being faithful to Him regardless of what comes or what arises in our life. Like we're saying bye to the old and saying, hey, I'm here, I see value in you, I'm trusting you with my whole heart, and I just want to stay faithful, and I put all my effort to turning to Christ. And so I don't want to be more selfish. I want to be selfless. Selfless, like selfish, I don't even makes sense, but be selfless into what marriage, and that's what marriage is becoming selfless, cleaving to one another, vowing, promising, covenant relationship. And so when we do that right,
we get to enjoy our marriage.
Yeah, big time. And not only that, I think you get to reflect, God and the church, like Jesus in the church, and it's such a blessing in any way you want to look at it. So we just want to encourage you guys.
Yeah, to just cleave to your spouse, cleave to them, and trust in them. Trust that, not just trust in them, because I'm not putting my trust in him. I'm putting my trust in God. I'm putting my trust in the Lord that has control over everything, and in that I find rest.
Commit to one another. Commit to the Lord. Face any issues. Run to the problem. There's no other way out. Bring it to the Lord in prayer. Communicate with each other, and know that that's your wife, and that's your husband, and so you guys are
that we are a team. So anything that's gonna come against your marriage, don't use each other to fight against each other
or
because of the issues. Instead, cleave to one another, trust each other, and become one team. And that's what we're going to be talking about next, is becoming one flesh.
And so we want to leave you with that. Stay committed. Share each other's vows again. Talk about them, and how much you love each other, and how you want to grow old together, and wrinkles, and then for all those couples that probably watching this, and you guys are at a beautiful age, continue to enjoy each other. All right, love you guys. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Bye.
God bless.